welcome to your English tutorial. On this tutorial I will be explaining time clauses, and also I will be explaining what clauses are and how we can use them to talk about situations that happened in the past, or I don't know, let's say situations that will happen in the future. I would also like to remind you all that if you have any doubts or any questions regarding this topic, you can always send me an email or a private message on Google Classroom. So, are you ready? Okay, so let's begin. Very well. Time clauses. So what are those? Time clauses start with words like when, before, while, during, until, as, and after. In the following tutorial, we are going to learn how these words can be either between two clauses or at the beginning of these two clauses. The meaning is the same, so it won't be affected. And also, I will be explaining how these time clauses may describe events which will take place in the future or have happened in the past. Very well, so now I would like to explain how we can use time clauses in the future. Before doing this, I would like to remind you all that it is very important, guys, to have two clauses. And these two clauses will be linked by a linking word, the ones that we checked at the very beginning of this presentation, which are when, while, as, before, after, etc. So let me explain it for you. So first of all, what we need to do is this. In the first clause, we need to use the simple future. Remember, how do we form simple future? It's actually pretty easy. We need the auxiliary verb will. After this, we need to use the linking word, when, while, as, before, etc. And for the second clause, we can have three options. We can use either the simple present, the present continuous, or the present perfect. But according to the tense we're using in the second clause, the final meaning can change. And I will be explaining you all of these by using different examples, all right? So now let's take a look at some examples on time clauses to refer to the future. As I mentioned before, I can use three tenses in my second clause, so the final meaning can change. The first example is, I'll help you when you cook lunch. As you can see, I am using simple present in my second clause, which means that I'll help you to cook lunch. But if I change the second clause and I use present continuous, the final meaning would be I'll help you and at the same time you'll be cooking lunch. If I change it one more time and I use present perfect, the final meaning would be first I'll cook lunch and then I'll help you. There is a second way in which we can use time clauses to refer to future events. The only thing we have to consider is that the order of my two clauses and my linking word has to change. And it goes something like this. First, I need to use my linking word. Remember, when, while, as, before, after, etc. Right after that, I need to use my first clause in simple present, and then I can use my second clause either in simple present again or in simple future. But there are some differences, and I want you to know these differences. I will give you some examples so you can understand this a little bit better. All right, are you ready? Very well. So remember that we need to change the order of my two clauses and my linking word. So let me give you an example. When she goes to Rome, she stays with Carla. Notice that I am using simple present in my second clause. So the meaning of that would be that every time that she goes to Rome, she stays with Carla. But if I change my second clause and I use simple future, then the meaning changes. That means that she will go to Rome first and then she will stay with Carla. So how was that? Was it easy? Yeah, I think it was. So that's all I have to say about the future. Now I want to move on and explain you how we can use time clauses to talk about the past. Again, we need to use like two clauses and a linking word. But instead of using the present in the second clause, I have to use the past with three different options. I can use the simple past, the past continuous, or the past perfect. Let me give you three examples. I called him when my train got to the station. As you can see in my second clause, I am using the simple past. When I do that, then the real meaning of that is my train arrived and immediately afterwards I called. But if I change it and I use past continuous, the meaning changes one more time. I called while the train was in the process of arriving. You see? And one more time. Now I'm using past perfect. The meaning changes again. The train left earlier. I called later. You see? So it's not that hard. It's just like understanding when the action happened. So far so good? We're almost there, guys. Almost. So the final part of my tutorial will be about two specific linking words and their different uses. The first one is the word when. We use the word when in three different ways. The first one is to show one action happening at the same time as another. For example, I rode my bike when we were living in Wales. The second use. We use when to show one action happening immediately after another, and often as a result of it. For example, I'll buy a new jacket when I get some money. And the last use would be to show an action interrupting or happening in the course of another longer action. For example, I was playing squash when I injured my arm. The second word is the word while. We use while to show one action happening at the same time as another. So it means during the time that, and it is often but not always used with continuous tenses. For example, I'll do the crossword while I'm waiting for you. And finally, two more words. The preposition during is followed by a noun or noun phrase. And we basically use it to describe an action lasting for the whole of a time period or event. And meanwhile. Meanwhile is an adverb which comes at the beginning of a sentence, and we use it to introduce an action happening while another event mentioned in the previous sentence. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please send me an email or a private message on Google Classroom. Believe me, I'll be there for you. So see you next time, and thank you very much again. Bye-bye.